Welcome to SEOL training. This introductory course outlines the fundamentals of a new management strategy designed to enhance resilience and harden businesses and organisations against the shocks and surprises of 21st century business environment. VUCA is a new paradigm, and in later modules we'll describe in detail how your organisation can implement the concept in detail, providing a clear edge over your competitors. We live and work in challenging times where uncertainty and instability are fast becoming normal. Change happens at an amazingly fast and furious pace. New technology provides great opportunities and new capabilities, but it can also bring new threats. Consider for a moment the Internet of Things, which will provide connectivity of systems and machines, improving reliability and making failure predictions quick and easy. However, the IoT also gives hackers and cyber criminals a whole new area to attack and cause disruption and damage to infrastructure and business systems. We live in the age of strategic shocks, events which are almost cataclysmic in their nature and often impossible to predict. The attacks of 9/11, the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Japanese tsunami fall into this category. Some would argue that Brexit and the election of Mr. Trump should also be included. 9/11 proved that during such crises, conventional plans and command and control systems simply will not work. The key to survival will be agility, short lines of communication, and having a high degree of corporate situational awareness, CSA. CSA is something we will turn to later in the course. So what are the new challenges we face? Certainly, globalization, urbanization, and global warming underpin many of the new threats. Extreme weather events are now making floods that were predicted to occur once in a century into annual occurrences. The very existence of some island nations is at risk from rising sea levels. Withdrawing Antarctic ice in the Larsen ice shelf risks launching an iceberg the size of Trinidad into the Atlantic within 12 months. As the population increases, the competition for scarce resources may lead to conflict for water and rare minerals. The proliferation of weapons of mass destruction to include states such as North Korea and Iran risk global security, whilst organised crime gangs operate at an industrial scale, with people trafficking, smuggling and corruption making life a misery for many. We're seeing refugee movements on a biblical scale as populations in Africa, Asia and the Middle East seek refuge from conflict. Space weather may sound a far-fetched scenario, but the effect of a coronal mass ejection or flare will be devastating for Earth's satellite-based communication systems. And just to cheer up, we're well overdue a major earthquake. So, now put these factors into some kind of order, which we call VUCA. The term was originally coined by the US War College in Pennsylvania in the 1990s. Volatility describes rapid and constant change with inconsistent bursts of violence, such as we saw during the Arab Spring, with non-state players taking effective control of failing states. There's a great deal of uncertainty in economic and political life at the moment, and business does not like uncertainty as it makes planning and investment decisions particularly difficult. Imagine the challenges faced by energy companies as we approach the end of the fossil fuel era, and they must decide where their future lies. But what technology to back? Many CEOs do not like the term chaos, and thus have moved away from the original VUCA principle towards complexity, which suggests more control. Either way, disorder and confusion reign in the age of asymmetric warfare, with weaponized drones being fielded during the battle for Mosul. Lastly, ambiguity emphasizes the difficulty of decision-making without knowing all the facts. So what is the solution to this challenging paradigm? How do we steel our resources and processes against these challenges and future threats? How do we create more resilient organisations, hardened against these elements? Well, one possible way was suggested by one of the world's leading marketing agencies, in a style which only they could possibly have proposed, where volatility is trumped by vibrancy and the Shinto religion's emphasis, the single point in time which we refer to as now. Uncertainty is defeated by unreal leadership. Well, we can't argue with that idea. Chaos is overmatched by crazy, with the stress on winning the emotional battle for hearts and minds. Finally, ambiguity gives way to astounding, using the 5 E's shown on the slide. And again, in the right circumstances, perhaps this would work. It would certainly be fun to be on the ride watching this Saatchi and Saatchi journey. However, in practical terms, we suggest a somewhat less radical solution suggested here. Here we explore the Kissinger and Walsh antidote, known as VUCA Prime. In this scenario, vision replaces volatility. Organisations have to have a crystal clear view of where they're going in terms of strategic destinations. The route to this destination may have to vary and be amended as we progress along the route, but like Stephen King's Dark Tower, we know exactly where we're going and why. Understanding removes uncertainty in this plan, and this is achieved by constantly scanning the horizon, gaining information and intelligence, analysing the data, and ensuring that there are few, if any, nasty shocks around the corner. Clarity here trumps chaos, where leadership can look through the fog of battle and see what's happening in the far distance. As Kipling said, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Finally, perhaps the most important factor is agility, the attribute which smaller companies have in abundance, but which is often lost in the hierarchy of the corporate multinational. Fast decision making and rapid dissemination of decisions and actions are essential during crisis. Future modules of this course will explain in detail how to implement and achieve VUCA Prime. But just let's take a moment to review some of the suggestions we've made today to begin that journey. Firstly, we need to make our organisations ever more resilient. Resilience is the capacity of an entity to prepare for disruptions, to recover from shocks and stresses, and to adapt and to grow and learn from disruptive experience. Case studies are often useful vehicles to help along the journey. Situational awareness means using all of our senses and sources of information to identify change and disruption in the external environment. This topic has a complete module in its own right. Systems, and not simply electronic ones, must be hardened against attack and have redundancy built into their design. And this applies to our supply chains as much as our in-house capabilities. Finally, in this section, the importance of crisis management plans and business continuity plans cannot be overemphasized. But it's not enough simply to have a plan gathering dust on a shelf. It must be constantly updated and exercised. As von Moltke said, no plan survives contact with the enemy. So mission rehearsals and tabletop exercises are fundamental and essential. Here, succession planning is essential. If the guiding minds of an organisation are not available or are incapacitated by crisis, there's no time to have a discussion over who's in command. Also, there's no time to build a crisis action team. This group must be pre-identified, be able to communicate and operate in a safe and secure environment, and must have confidence in each other and their collective decision-making capabilities, often under pressure and in highly charged situations. The military have a useful decision-making tool called a combat appreciation, which we will explore in a later module. At its heart are two words which mean so much. Simply the question, so what, so what, so what? Keep asking those and we'll reach a satisfactory conclusion. We'll also talk more about mission analysis in Module 2. We're often so involved in the business that we do not allocate time to work on the business. Development, repair, maintenance and engineering are essential to keep any machine working smoothly, and a business must operate as a well-oiled machine. Finally, in today's course, we stress the importance of taking a long-term strategic view. So often politics and immediate financial results outweigh the need for this long-term policy. Follow short-termism at your peril.